Okay. It's recording, so let's do it.
Yeah, well, I want to thank you for not recording that confession a second ago. That would have been bad. But we had yeah. So tell us who we had on today, Ibby.
We had my friend Alejandro, who is the head of customer experience over at FCP Euro. Sean, you learned about FCP Euro today. Tell me a little bit about what they do.
FCP Euro is, I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's the best. It's the one stop you should always go if you have a European car and you want aftermarket parts. That's the only place.
They also do like OEM. I think you can get like branded parts from there as well. I'll say, but yeah, that's exactly right. It is like a really, really cool. I've like gone and like toured their facility. It's like a bunch of like really cool people that work there that super into cars. They've got like a pretty devoted following of folks that have European cars, whether that's like VWs, Volvos, or BMWs and Mercedes and Porsches. And yeah, Alejandro was telling us like they've got a pretty unique and interesting business model or customer support model where like a ton of their inbound is actually just people asking for advice, and they actually like lean pretty heavily into that because what it means is that like those people will then come back and buy from them. And trying to like Alejandro's basically I think like tasked with figuring out like, hey, where do we utilize AI? How do we like make this how do we provide like this like really, really high level of care? And the thing I really liked about it, I'm curious to hear what you about.
I think there's one answer step on that. How do we provide this high level of care at a way that is still feasible to run a business, right? Like,
right.
Because I think the if you had unlimited money, you would just have like a world-class mechanic standing by for every type of car, and they just like field calls. But like that's not in any way sustainable. And so how do you actually scale that, right? And that's pretty cool. I interrupted you and ruined your train of thought.
Yeah, I forgot my train of thought. That's okay. I think the thing that's interesting is like you kind of get like a pretty wide diaspora of people. You get a lot fewer of the folks today that are like, yeah, I'm so excited to replace all my employees with AI. I think that like Klarna like helped us prove that doesn't exist and that doesn't work. And then you've got the people that are like super against it, which also like you see fear and fear of those, and it's fun because now we can have nuanced conversations about all of it. So, yeah, it was just a really, really good conversation. I'm excited to hear like how the listeners think about that. I guess like Sean, any thoughts, anything that you thought was particularly interesting? I thought it was just great in general.
I really, really enjoyed speaking with him. His perspective was great. I thought the way that he kind of broke down generalists and technical specialists and kind of thinks about, so they got rid of IVR, which was interesting to hear how they're replacing IVR with AI and what the reception to that has been. I thought that was very, very interesting. It reminds me weirdly of this company I worked with back when I was agency side, called We Crochet, which is a crochet supply brand. And you know, I think you can't have hobbies that are on different ends of the spectrum more than crocheting and European cars. But both of them really, like, what stood out in the market and from their team was this kind of specialist and approachability where like you could call in and they would like talk to you about patterns and talk to you about different types of yarn and needles and all the things, right? And there's just something truly, truly special about getting that level of care. I think that, you know, we're at a weird time where I still remember when like kind of the e-commerce movement started taking off and everyone had to have it. And, you know, and so half the people were saying that e-commerce won't work. Half the people were saying that like it's going to be the end of retail. And I think, you know, we've seen neither of those have really been the case, but like there is something truly different and truly special about going into a store and talking with someone and having them kind of walk you through, like having them take the time to like, however long you're trying on shoes or you're trying on bikes or whatever it is, right? Like they're like walking you through and have perspective and have heard qualitative feedback from other, you know, hobbyists in whatever field it is. Like, I think there's something very, very cool about that. And to see a company like recreating that at scale with e-com is I think it's just fascinating and super, super cool. And then now you layer in the AI side of it. It's interesting to hear how they're doing it, what they're kind of saying no to, what they're trying out. Like, I thought this was phenomenal.
I agree. Cool. I don't think I have anything else of value to add, but that was super fun. Hopefully everyone that's listening to this enjoys the episode, and have a great weekend if you're listening to this on a Friday.
I'm Ibby Syed.
I'm Sean Collins.
And this is Numbers and Narratives.
And we are not live, but recording. Alejandro, everyone, thanks so much for joining us. We've got Alejandro here. He's now I'd say a friend. We met about a year ago. But a friend. Alejandro, do you want to tell us a little bit about you and FCP Euro and your role?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with FCP Euro. FCP Euro is in the automotive aftermarket. Our vision is to be the world's most trusted resource for European vehicle ownership, maintenance, and repair. And we primarily serve customers direct to consumer from our website, fcpeuro.com. We also serve a small number of shops and commercial businesses, but the vast majority of our business is direct to consumer. So we have an extensive catalog of products that we sell. About 300,000 products are listed on our site. We have a pretty significant investment in inventory across 2 locations, one in Milford, Connecticut, and another one in Mesa, Arizona, to have the parts that customers need available, mostly to ship from stock from one of our DCs. And we commit to get the majority of shipments to customers within 3 days across most of the country. So that is one of our value props. One of the other things that we're really well known for is our lifetime replacement guarantee. We really stand behind the quality of our products. We offer this lifetime replacement guarantee where if you purchase an item from us and a couple of years down the road you need to replace that item, you can buy a new one, you can return your old one, and we'll give you credit to use in the store for something else in your next purchase. So we don't sell any parts that we wouldn't stand behind, and if we wouldn't put it on our cars, we won't sell it to anybody. The other thing from a service perspective that I'll say is really, really valuable, we help our customers and provide advice and expertise through a couple of ways. We produce a lot of DIY videos that we publish on YouTube for pretty much any European car maker model that you can think of in the past 15, 20 years. You're likely to find a video on how to do some job on your car. In addition to that, we have a service team that is available to talk to customers and provide advice and help you find the parts that you need, help you with any job that you're trying to do. And you can call us Monday through Friday, 9 to 6 p.m. and 9:30 to 6 p.m. and we're available to chat with you. So that's a bit about the company, but I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I joined FCP Euro about 15 months ago. Have an extensive background in customer experience and operations management, both in B2B and DTC. And I joined FCP Euro because it's a very customer-centric organization. It's growing very quickly, and there's a lot of opportunity to continue to refine the customer experience here. Even though it is a very customer-centric company, like any place that's growing, there's a lot of challenges, and I'm excited to help build and help drive the next phase of growth for the company.
That's awesome. One of the things that you mentioned there, you said that we're available 9 to 6 to be able to chat. And one of the things I know about your customers, the story I like to tell is one of my cousins, Ahmed, shout out. He's a big car guy. He has this I'll tease him a little bit. He got married 2 weeks ago, and he has this he's this E90 M3, so the one from I think 2009 to 2013, that model, and he's kitted it out. He's done a lot of work to it. It's the loudest thing in the world. I'll bully him here. It's a little obnoxious, but he loves his cars. And one time he was living in Connecticut at the time, and I think I was chatting with him, and I was gonna go meet Alejandro, and he said, "Oh my God, you're gonna go see FCP Euro?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know them?" He goes, "Yeah, I buy everything from them." I'm like, "I wouldn't buy anything from anywhere else." And I was asking him why, and he goes, "Well, like," he explained, he was like, "When I got into cars, like I didn't, I wasn't like a huge expert or anything, and I would just like I chatted with their team. They were always like super open to helping, and they're just incredibly customer forward." He was like telling me, he's like, "Yeah, I'm worried that like," he said something. I think you guys offer like an oil replacement. There's like an oil replacement policy or something, and he goes, "Man, I really hope people aren't scamming them. You should check on that because I really want them to continue to be in business because they provide me so much value." And I'm like, "Dude, I think they're good."
Yeah, so that's the lifetime replacement guarantee, and I'll say a lot of competitors have kind of copied the model a little bit of the lifetime replacement guarantee, but one thing they won't do is honor it for fluids like oil change kits, and that is one thing that we stand behind that as well. We expect that provides value to our customers, and we expect that is the beginning of a longer term relationship where customers will keep coming back to us for other products. So yeah, but we're keeping that around. And I can't say it'll always be around, but for now, like it's something that we offer to our customers, and we hope that they appreciate and value.
Yeah, no, and I think one of the things that's interesting, a little bit juxtaposition to that one, right? Is like you're obviously growing as a business. Business is doing well. But the issue that you run into is your sort of cost per customer, right? Your cost per like customer ends up going up if there's tons of things that people are utilizing your team for. And trying to figure out like there's an interesting sort of like dichotomy here where if you've got a company that is so focused on customer care and providing a great customer experience and providing that sort of like one-to-one relationship, then and I mean I'll sort of put this out there, we're doing a pilot with y'all. You guys are interested in AI and AI products. How does that work in your mind? Like as somebody who's tasked with, making CX make sense financially for the business, but also, continuing to provide this exceptional level of care. Like, how are you seeing in this like new age of AI, it, coming in and, where is it appropriate to slot in and where do you think it's less appropriate?
Yeah. So, I'll say like from a service perspective, the thing that our customers really value is the human element of being able to have a conversation with someone, ask for advice, get their help in finding the right part for the job that they're trying to do. And so we want to keep as much of that as possible. We don't want to put AI in places where it would take away that really valuable human touch point where we can provide like personalized service based on whatever job you're trying to do on your car, whatever car you have, and whatever specific support you need to get that job done. However, like we're really curious about AI in helping to augment our ability to do that first thing. It's a really slippery slope if you start like automating things left and right. And so we're being really cautious about where we bring in AI. The question we're asking ourselves is, can we implement it in a way that allows us to do more of the personalization, more of the human touch when customers need it and want it, but provide customers quick and easy responses when they don't need that very like in-depth human touch, when they don't need the expertise. So like I'll give you an example. We brought in a tool that we use on the front end of our phone calls. It replaced our IVR, and it does a couple of things for us. It tries to deflect pretty straightforward questions like customers who are looking for tracking information on a shipment. we've connected it into our backend. Customer comes in, they're recognized by the AI, they're greeted by the AI. We ask them, what do you need help with? Depending on what that answer is, then we make a decision. Is it something that we can provide information on in a quick manner from the AI integration into our backend, or is it something that requires a human to address? And if we can provide that answer, we've been trying to leverage the AI integration with our backend to provide that answer to the customer and make it as easy and seamless as possible for them to get that response and move on with their day. If, however, that response is not sufficient, it's not satisfactory, they need a human, we make it as easy as possible to then reach the human in that next step. However, if your initial intent is not something that can be handled by AI, we want to make it really easy for you to get to an expert. And one of the things that we're trying to do now is get even more granular in understanding what do the customers need help with so that we can get you to the right person the first time. That's been a little bit of a challenge because having AI interacting with the customer on the front end of the phone call, it necessitates a customer actually wanting to engage with it. And we actually have found that some of our customers don't want to engage with it, right? So they get frustrated that they're being asked a question by this AI bot, so to speak. And it sounds very human. It's like really awesome, like how much progress has happened in this space in the last couple of months and year. But some people just don't want to interact with that. Some people are still expecting, I'm just going to get to a human on the first touch. The problem with that is when we have the human there on the first touch, it might not be the right person, right? So we're trying to use AI to like really get a good understanding of what is the customer contacting us about so that we can get them to the right person. And it's been a little bit of a friction point for some of our customers, but at the end of the day, like it's only going to help us like augment the experience over the long run. So we're being really cautious about it. This is like one touch point where we're using it, but in some of the conversations you and I have been having, we're also looking about how to use AI internally, right? Trying to limit the interaction with customers because internally there's opportunities to leverage AI to improve some of our workflows, make some of those workflows more efficient, and thereby free up some of the time that would allow us to spend more time talking to customers directly. So those are things that are probably the use cases that we will lean more towards in the near term, given some of the learnings we've had from implementing AI on the phone channel. I think we want to pivot more to like, how do we use AI to augment the capabilities of the team internally and limit the exposure of the AI to the customer?
So to kind of make this like a concrete example, then, I've got a customer who's calling in and they're saying, hey, I am really interested in, I'm trying to do some transmission work on my car. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to go into that because I don't know anything about transmissions. I'm going to make it easy. I want to do some brake work on my car, but I'm like not really sure where to start. I like don't know what I need. And rather than have like an AI give like a canned response, make it easy for when they do get connected to a person, for that person to be able to look up, hey, from the last time we had a chat with them, this is the car they have. These are the available parts. This is what we have in stock. Like make it so the human has it at the click of a button rather than have to open up like 16 different tools to be able to get at the information that they need. Like it's a little bit more of that plus the part of CX that is the simple query handling, right? Like things that I don't know. I won't say this, like my grandma, for example, she still does not know how to use websites. There are probably self-service tools on most of the things that she's trying to like get questions answered for, but she still chooses to call customer support for simple things like, what's my delivery date? What, can I cancel this? Like all of those types of things where it's just like a action and there isn't like a ton of nuance.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly how we're thinking about it, right? Like if a customer is calling us to figure out how to process a return. And we have a defined process. There's a way to do it on the website. The first step that we're going to take is try to use AI to try to deflect that and empower the customer to self-serve. And if the self-service is not something that the customer wants to do, or in your grandma's case, is not something they feel comfortable doing, then we're going to make a human available to support them in kind of like following the steps that they need to take. But yeah, I think you're right. Like, anybody who calls in and says, I am trying to do this brake job right now, like in the back end, we have likely enough information to help them to identify, like, if they've contacted us before, if they've purchased from us before, what is their vehicle, what have they purchased, when have they purchased it, and be pointed in the direction of like, here's all the information you need in one centralized place so that it facilitates your conversation, right? I can have AI like pull together information from disparate sources, put it in front of an agent and say, oh, you have a 2021 Volvo XC90. I see that is the last vehicle you purchased for. Are you doing a brake job on that car? And the customer can say, yeah, absolutely. Great. Then I have all the information I need. What are you looking for? They can also say, no, I got a new car, right? And then it's like, okay, let me capture that information. Let me make sure that that is information that will be available to the next agent whenever they call back. And AI basically helps facilitate that. So we don't have to go, to your point, to like 3-4 different systems to figure that out. And it also lends the opportunity for that level of personalized service, right? It's not just Ibby called in. It's Ibby who has a 2021 Volvo XC90, and the last purchase he made was for an oil change kit in May. Oh, by the way, it's been 3 months. In a couple more months, he might need another oil change kit, right? So, like, this is how I think AI can be used to really augment the capabilities of an agent to then provide more personalization in their responses and in the service that they're offering.
I really like that that look ahead to, hey, you've got, you'll need another oil change kit coming up on kind of this timeline. That's the sort of little bit extra that I think really, really does provide deep value to customers, right? Like, you're going to have to buy this. It's not like an option that you're going to need to do an oil change at some point soon. When I had a car, would always forget it. Literally, if it weren't for that sticker up on the window that says like, this is the exact mileage at which you need to change, I would forget every time. My HVAC air filters, I forget to change all the time until like, I'll open it, it'll be super gross. Like, having that reminder for someone and making it easy is incredible. And you're right, that's such a sort of like simple add-in on the AI side. But like, genuinely, what a value add to be like, hey, I know this isn't why you're here, but like, while we're doing this, let's take care of these other 3 things that like you're going to have to do soon anyways. That's super cool.
Yeah. And I'll say, like, right now, we're looking ahead to how can we do that more effectively in the future. And a lot of what we're finding is we need to capture specific data points at different parts of the customer's journey to be able to anticipate some of those needs and to support them with some of those needs in the future. Right now, when a customer comes in and purchases their first order from us, we capture the car's year, make, model. But not every customer gives that to us. Sometimes if a customer just knows a specific part they're going to buy from us, they'll come in, they'll look for that part, they'll buy it, they won't add their vehicle information, and our data is incomplete. But we have to build in the flows then to say, oh, hey, I saw you made a purchase. Could you provide the vehicle that you made that purchase for? Because that's data that will be valuable for us. Right now, we don't capture the VIN up front, but every time a customer calls service and needs help finding or verifying that a part is going to work, we have to ask for the VIN. Well, once we capture that should be a structured data field that is tied to the customer's account. we don't capture what mileage the customer acquired the vehicle at, right? Or what mileage it was at the point in time where they decided to buy a brake kit, or how many miles they drive a year. All of those are pieces of information that if we capture them at different points in the journey could then inform how we would go and anticipate their needs in the future. Because not everything is time-based, right? Like I might be able to guess that somebody who has an E90 M3 might be driving it enough that every 3 months they might need an oil change kit. But for somebody who has a car that's 3 years old and buys their first oil change kit from us after their warranty is over, they're not going to change that probably for 5,000 to 10,000 miles. And unless I know how often you're driving, I'm never going to be able to calculate when that 5 or 10,000 miles is going to come. So there are a lot of these pieces of information that we're thinking about capturing. What is the appropriate point in the journey to capture it in? How do you ask for it? How do you make it easy for the customer to want to provide that to you and see the value that they might get from it? Because for us, it's not just about selling the next oil change kit, right? It's about being able to help the customer with maintenance over the life cycle of their vehicle so that their vehicle stays on the road longer. So yeah, it might mean that I remind you need an oil change kit, or it might mean that I remind you need a brake change in a couple of years. But that's ultimately about you as a customer maintaining your car and being able to like keep that car on the road if you want to keep it on the road longer.
I was laughing earlier because Ibby started to go with the transmission example, and then he goes, I don't know anything about transmissions. Let's talk about brakes, and then said nothing about brakes for the rest of that story. But
listen,
so
I don't know anything. I live in New York City. I do have a car. I do have a car, but I live in New York City.
I don't know anything about cars. But you've talked about earlier, you mentioned kind of like getting people to the right agent, right? And it's like we're at jobs that I've had that it could mean like a department level specialty, like, hey, this is our loyalty and travel person, this is our dining person, this is our credit card payments. Or I've also seen, kind of like level 1, level 2, level 3. When you talk about trying to find the right agent for a problem,
yeah,
is that like my BMW guy or my transmission guy? Or is that like, hey, this is a kind of simpler problem, this is an advanced one?
Yeah, so we have tiers of complexity of inquiries, and we have split up the team into generalists and technical specialists. So our generalists can handle the vast majority of e-commerce issues that you can think of, right? Billing, delayed shipment, some account information needs updating, whatever. Our generalists can handle all of that. But as soon as it gets into the realm of somebody needs to know about vehicles and different vehicle systems in order to help with a particular job, that goes to a technical specialist. So when I say the right person today, it means getting it to that group of folks. However, I would want to take that a step further, because we do have a BMW guy. We have a lot of BMW guys. BMWs are the biggest part of our catalog. So we have a lot of BMW enthusiasts on the team, and experts. But we have a Mercedes guy. We have a Porsche guy. Like we have people on the team that are more specialized in some makes and models. So ideally, I'd like to extend that a layer further. Today, we're not doing that. Today, we're saying like, okay, if you know cars, then you know how to answer generally these types of questions that are the questions that we get. That is the group of people. But we could go down into, are you asking about a transmission? Somebody might know about a transmission more than somebody else, and I'd like to get you to that person. If you're asking about doing, I don't know, like you want to change into a manual transmission, like one of the cars that you have, like I know there's somebody on my team who has done that job before. I would want to get you to that person so that person can walk you through how to do that job. We're not at that level right now, but we have largely these two groups, generalists and specialists, and we try to get you to the right group.
And then for the specialists, this is probably going to be one of the dumber questions I've ever asked on this podcast, but like, is there a right answer for all questions, or how, since this is like aftermarket stuff, like, is there sort of like, hey, you have a bunch of options about what might be right. And so a lot of it's kind of like feel, and like, certain brands might have like a tastemaker or something kind of vibe where it's like, hey, there's three different, you said there's a lot of BMW guys on the team. Maybe I like Alejandro's recommendations more than Ibby's recommendations. Like, is that the kind of thing? Or is it like, you went from transmission problems to giving me brake recommendations in one fell swoop.
Hey, listen, man, I'm cool. I drive a stick in New York City.
So like, is there sort of still that like nuance and like, I don't know, like picks almost, or is it pretty straightforward of like, you have a BMW and you have a transmission problem, this is the guy?
So I think one of the things that we've been wrestling with and thinking about is how much advice is too risky to give. Because at the end of the day, like, yes, we have what I'll say are like experts on the team doing certain types of jobs on their cars for repair and maintenance, but very few people on the team are actually like certified technicians for vehicles, right? So it's not like you would go to the shop down the street, you get a certified technician, or you go to BMW, you get a BMW certified technician. Like, those aren't the people that we have on our team today. And so the recommendations that the team provides can be slightly different from person to person. One person who has owned a number of BMWs, done a lot of different jobs on their BMWs, might come up with a slightly different recommendation than somebody who typically has owned more Audis, knows about cars, and can use the information that we make available to them to make his recommendation. So there is some nuance, but we also want to be mindful, like, we don't want to, with certainty, guide customers to like, you should do X, Y, or Z on your car. And the reason for that is like, we don't have the car in front of us. We're not certified technicians. We are not doing the diagnosis on the car, right? Usually it's the customer doing the diagnosis. Usually they've said, I need to change my brakes. Okay, so let us help you find the right brakes for your car. Somebody else says, I need to change the suspension, or I want to change the suspension. Okay, these are the options of suspensions that we have for your vehicle. Let me educate you about the options that we have, and then let me have you as the customer make a choice. What matters to you? Quality, performance, price, like that is part of like what we're offering from an advice standpoint. But what I remind the team a lot is, don't make decisions for customers, right? Provide advice and let them provide advice, provide information, help educate them on the options that we have, and then let them make the decision for themselves. Because it could be risky if you say, I called FCP Euro and Alejandro told me that I have to change this part, and I changed it, and who knows what happened, right? So we toe a line there on the advice side, and we try to educate, inform, and help empower customers to make the decisions, rather than just saying this is the answer all the time.
With that being kind of the approach or state or whatever, when you think about bringing more AI and AI getting better and people becoming more comfortable with AI, do you kind of foresee, and obviously this is conjecture, right? So there's no clear answer, and would have to come back in a few years to figure out if you were right or wrong. But do you see like hiring moving more towards, we're going to hire generalists and AI tools will equip them with the capacity to answer more specific questions? Or do you see it more as, we're going to actually focus our hiring, and for most products, you're going to actually find more deep expertise because the kind of breadth that the AI can answer will grow, and so you won't need quite so much a baseline of generalists, because you can have, a few still.
Yeah.
But you'll really be investing in like these deep specialists, or is it kind of the other way around?
I think it really depends on what our customer demand looks like over the next couple of years. I think right now our customers value expertise. And so we're hiring right now, and we're primarily focusing on getting specialists in the door because that's what customers are demanding, and that's what they want and need right now. And we're looking at AI supporting more of, like we said earlier, those really simple, straightforward inquiries that could likely be solved through self-service. That being said, like I've seen there's a company that I talked to a couple of months back who has built an AI specific to auto repair, maintenance, and diagnostics. And what they showed me is like pretty impressive. Like they have a phone number you can call in. You can basically describe to the AI what is going on with your car, and the AI will run through what the potential issues are with your car and then provide recommendations on what you may want to do to resolve those issues. So really, like, I expect that kind of tooling will get better and better over time. Now, is that something that I would want to implement into our workflows? Based on everything I've heard from customers today about just interacting with the AI that we have, probably not, right? Like, does it seem like it could be super valuable? Yes. But if our customers are demanding the human interaction, they're valuing the expertise of a person, I totally get that you can put all of that expertise into an AI. But if that's not who your customer wants to interact with, then why would you put that in front of them, right? Like if you're wanting to build a relationship with the customers and build loyalty over time and have them be advocates for the brand, we can't do something that they don't want. I mean, our customer base right now doesn't want that, but the technology is out there. Like it's clearly out there. It's available. Someone's already making it a service that's available to people. So where does that leave us from a hiring perspective? I think that pushes us right now more into looking for those specialists who can provide that human touch and still using AI to augment their capabilities, as we said before. But any of the simple things that we can automate away, like what my tracking number is, yeah, I want to automate that. And it probably makes us lean more towards the specialists than the generalists. But to your point, we'll need some of those generalists no matter what, because maybe the first question is, where is my order? But maybe the follow-up question is, oh, I need some help, I don't know, doing an address change or something like that. And can you get an AI to do that? Probably. But for now, like you would probably want to escalate that to a human and make sure that they validate that the action that the customer needs taken on their account is taken. So you can have a combination of both. I don't think it needs to be one or the other. Like as long as you create the workflows that allow a seamless transition between you're initially helped by AI for some portion of the interaction and you get a human when you value that additional human touch, then you can use both.
Might be the perfect place to end. Like that's a photo finish right there, my friends. I mean, I can go. I can keep talking about this forever. To be honest, the things that like kind of come up, and maybe we can hit on them if you want, are like, do you think that this applies? I guess like, do you think that this applies to like the world writ large? Like it like we obviously been talking about FCP Euro like pretty specifically, but I think that that applies to like other industries too, which is pretty interesting. And I think that this is maybe, if I abstract out the conversation a little bit, like this is kind of like what technology does, is it kind of like abstracts away like a layer of thinking, right? Like you think about the ATM, you think about the spreadsheet, like the ATM like made it so, okay, it wasn't people's jobs to just hand people cash anymore. Like people that worked at banks became a lot more specialized. Companies like companies like PwC used to hire people basically to like add numbers down a row, and then suddenly like, they still employ tons and tons and tons of people. It's just that those people are doing like higher level tasks. It maybe seems like AI does like kind of the same thing to some of these industries where it's like, hey, like you're kind of forced to go down a little bit more of a specialist path, even though, yeah, there's definitely still the need for things to be handled by a human. Maybe it's just that there's slightly less demand for that kind of thing.
This is broadly applicable across a number of industries, right? Like there are still going to be things that AI can help augment the capabilities of humans and speed up tasks that would have otherwise taken a longer time. But like when you get that time back, you can think about that time being applied to another activity, right? One of the things that we've thought about is if we, with some of the conversations that you and I have been having, Ibby, about automating some tasks internally, with that time that we get back, how can we do some more proactive outreach to customers and engage with them in a different way than we have in the past, right? It's not just about replacing humans, it's about replacing tasks that are not as valuable and then being able to do something more valuable with that time that you get back.
What do you do with the time that you get back? How do you have higher? It's like a leverage thing, right? Like what's the best leverage on human time? And I mean, there's tons of things, right? If there's fundamentally just more humans to work on a problem of upset customers rather than just like people who have questions, and suddenly like you get into questions of retention and all that. But I think that's a conversation for next time. Alejandro, thank you so much for coming on. This was like super. I've been wanting to have the conversation for a while, and I really appreciate that we had it.
Yeah, I'm glad we finally made the time work, and thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it. It was great meeting Sean, and great having some time to chat.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Cool. Thank you.